Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, Illinois Arts Council Agency, and by the supportive viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello, welcome to Illinois Stories. I'm Mark McDonald in downtown Havana. You're looking at Main Street that didn't look at all like this several years ago. The streetscape is new, some of the facades are new. In fact, many of the businesses are new. And in a time when rural communities are losing their business core, here in Havana, we're seeing somewhat of a kind of an uprising, Mayor. I mean, we're seeing some really good news because really we've seen it all through Central and Western Illinois that the farm communities, they can't keep their towns alive because people are moving out and the kids are moving away and the businesses can't stay going. But we're seeing something different here. Why is that?
Well, I think it's a combination of a lot of great people who live in our community of Havana and people who had some forward-thinking visions and dreams for themselves as well as for our community. I'm a retired high school guidance counselor, and I taught for Spoon River College a class. And because of that, I noticed that a lot of our young people were leaving Havana.
Yeah.
There were no jobs, and there was no spirit of community. They wanted to graduate and leave. And I was serving on our council for 12 years, watching and kind of looking at things. And in 2013, I was elected mayor. And my whole goal was to help our young people see the importance of staying within our community, as well as providing great programs for our senior citizens. And then the third phase was the tourism, that we really wanted to encourage people to come here, stay here, you know, be a part of us and see our beautiful riverfront and our downtown. Yeah. The downtown was not beautiful at that time.
Yeah.
We were fortunate to, at Spoon River College, have a senior citizen class. It was called the Retirees Leading Academy. And 10 people for 5 years took that academy with me, and their challenge was to go out and do something great for your community. So those people did. They put together a volunteer committee for the Riverside Club. And the Riverside Club is over there, and it is a historic building. It housed the USO soldiers during World War II. It was owned by the Women's Club for many years. It hosted clubs, events, dances, proms, high school activities, as well as community activities for a very long time. And then as things progressed and they weren't able to maintain the cost of that building, they sold it to the city for $1. And the city was exuberant to receive it because it's prime riverfront home. And we started thinking about how could we renovate the Riverside Club. So with the help of that volunteer committee, and they're called the Riverside Renovation and Restoration Club, and they meet once a month, and they did fundraising, and the city helped them through TIF funding, and they13created a beautiful historic house, and it is used all the time. The pandemic changed a lot of that, but the main thing it was used for was our senior citizens, and we're so proud of that. They would meet there on Tuesdays and Thursdays, have dinner. It was just a great opportunity.
That was really, just to kind of encapsulate this, that was really where you got started,
That's really where we got started.
The city saved this building, and then you sort of thought to yourself, you and your committee, let's walk as we go.
Yes.
You and your committee said, well, if we can do that, we can do that with the rest of downtown.
Well, the committee did say that, but they still are focused here. They're probably one of the longest serving committees since 2008, and they do have a vision too. But a lot of the vision that you see here, such as right here, Market Street Boutique, is Nikki Pettigo, who started over in another part of town, and when she saw what was happening downtown, she wanted to be a part of it. So she has one of the busiest corners.
That's terrific.
Yes, it's a beautiful boutique.
Now the sidewalk that we're walking on was part of a huge plan too. This is called your streetscape, right?
This is our streetscape.
You still have your beautiful brick road
Yes.
that Havana's always been known for.
We always have.
But now you have this functional, new, clean look here.
Yes. Well, in 2013, we had committee members, again, a different committee than Riverside Club, but team members from our community who developed a comprehensive plan and included in it revitalization of downtown Havana and a streetscape. And so in 2018, we started in serious intent of using some TIF funding for our streetscape. So the streetscape construction started June 2019, finished in December, and you see how beautiful it is.
It really is, and you've got plantings. We'll see some plantings
Yes.
as we go by. But you've got, you know, rock features and plantings, and it's all been cleaned up so nicely. It's very inviting, and I can see why a business person would want to be down here.
Exactly. Our whole downtown revitalization was to encourage people to discover a dream that they may have had for years and felt they couldn't afford it. So we offered to them a 75-25 program where they put 25% into the remodeling, renovation, revitalization of their building, and we paid 75. We have 2 loan programs at 2% interest. But back to this great bed of local flowers and native grasses. Thank you.
Yep.
And it just happened. And the pandemic changed a lot of things, but as soon as things opened up in March, we started planting, and everybody loved what they saw. They hadn't been able to visualize what it was going to do for our downtown.
The streetscape took, what, about a year?
It was from June to December, and the streets were closed. We worked with Hine and Farnsworth, and they worked with our business people, and I will tell you, that worked out great. We had coffees together, we visited together, and whenever they were going to close off a street or close an area, they knocked on the business person's door, went in and told them. They notified. So people were aware of it, and people were in on the planning. Our business people were down, always in on the planning. So that's really important. I would say our third Tuesday business coffees, where we bring our business owners to the city center, and we talk everything over. It isn't a big surprise to them. They see it, they know it, and they're part of the planning. They're the team.
Mayor, thank you.
You're welcome.
Jennifer Larson, you've only been downtown in your Blue Butterfly for, what, a couple of months?
Since June.
Yeah, and they started talking to you some time ago about moving downtown, and you were somewhat reluctant to do it, weren't you?
They've been talking to me for years.
Years, okay.
But I finally made the decision about this time last year.
What's your experience been since you moved here?
It has been phenomenal. The city of Havana is great. We've had a lot more traffic.
Have you?
The business owners, we all get along great, so it's awesome.
Yeah. This building that you are now in, it was described as a wreck to me earlier, and it came very near to being torn down.
Correct.
But you and April, who we're going to meet later in this program, had some ideas about how to save it. Walk us through that a little bit.
I walked in and fell in love. It was a train wreck. It really was. There was holes in the floors. There was holes in the walls everywhere. But I put a lot of love into it. My family, friends, they all helped.
They helped you?
Oh yeah.
So you brought it back from the brink of extinction.
Correct.
And it looks, I mean, I'm looking at the brickwork and everything, it looks like it's in good condition. It's good and solid, and you're fine.
It's good and solid.
Okay. And business is good.
Business is great.
Okay. Well, listen, so your decision, you have no regrets about your decision?
No regrets.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Julie Morissette, we're in your shop, which you named after your mother, Gisela. Yes. So this is Gisela's shop. How do you describe what you sell here?
So my tagline is Gisela's house, all things home. So everything for your home. I've got home decor, I've got baby, I've got wedding, I've got pet, candy, jewelry, just about everything for the home.
Yep. In fact, another customer just came in. Okay, she come back. How would you describe business here? Has it been pretty good?
It's been brisk, yes. I will say probably, I don't know about the other boutiques, but 65–70% of our customers are from out of town.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That is good.
Yeah. So obviously we had to close for COVID after we opened back up.
Yeah.
Sales have been pretty brisk, and the boutiques around, we collaborate a lot, so we come up with these events, whether it's Witches Walk, which is coming up October 24th, or First Fridays, and that really brings in a lot of people.
Yeah.
So.
Let's walk back and take a look at this
Okay.
a little bit. Not so much at the merchandise because it's beautiful stuff, but because this building looks, I know it's not new, it looks new. You really did a lot of work on it, didn't you?
Yes, and in fact, I've got pictures in the 30s. This was Gerster's Bakery, and I have a picture of it, and these skylights were original. I had to take off 5 layers of roofs and 3 dropped ceilings
And
to
then
get
you
to
found
them.
them.
And then we found them, yeah. So
I bet they leaked like a sieve too, didn't
yeah,
they?
it needed a lot of love and a lot of money, but we took all the plaster off of the brick walls. There were probably 3 or 4 layers of walls. I gained about 8 inches when I took everything back.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And like you say, you can also have, and you have facilities back here for cooking classes and things. Of course, the virus has, put the stop on a lot of those things. But,
Right.
But you are open for business, and you're doing some business, which is a good
absolutely.
thing. But it's a gorgeous place. I mean,
Thank you.
It's got a nice, clean look, and that's what I'm noticing with the buildings as we go through. Is everything inside looks so clean and fresh, even though, in many cases, very old.
Mm-hmm. I think the natural light, that was a big part of it. I don't know if you've noticed when you walked in, obviously the windows, almost floor to ceiling windows. When you walk in the front door, you see a window all the way back to the back alley, and then with the skylights. I think that does a lot for making it feel like what you're talking about.
Absolutely. We're doing the program about the downtown, Main Street in particular, and the streetscape, and the fact that so many rural communities have fewer and fewer and fewer businesses every year. And in Havana, it's going the other way.
Yeah.
So it's got to feel pretty good to be among the people that are making things happen.
Yeah, so I was born and raised here, couldn't wait to get out of town after college.
Yeah.
Gone for 30 years. I came back a couple of years ago for a number of reasons, and I was walking downtown on Main Street, and it was just so sad because it was not the town that I grew up in. And I had every intention of spending my afternoons reading and drinking bourbon, and one day this guy was moving stuff out, and I'm like, within an hour I had written him an escrow check and kind of knew what I wanted to do.
I gotta have that building.
I gotta have that building. I'm like, I don't know.
It's
So
a wreck,
anyway,
but
yeah.
I gotta complicate my life a little bit, right?
So, but if it's just one person, but if you get more and more and you get that momentum, that's a great thing. And I think a lot of people, I moved from the Bay Area, from the Silicon Valley, and I think there's kind of a movement. People need to slow down a little. They're looking more for small towns. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing this with us. And I'm sure you know this person. Our next stop is to go across the street to the historic Havana Lofts, which are also, I think, just a wonderful addition to the community.
Yeah, April did a wonderful job there. Yeah, and Dave. I should keep him in there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, April, you get your exercise, don't you, coming up these steps
Absolutely.
from the street level?
We warn everyone, 25 steps to get upstairs.
Well, it's not so bad.
It's not so bad.
But
It's
you got to
nice
let
and
them know
wide,
ahead of
and
time
I
what
do
they're up
let
for.
them know ahead of time,
Okay.
and we do not have an elevator, so.
Okay, lead me into your first unit.
Sure. So this is what we call the South Bank Loft. It overlooks the historic Main Street.
Yeah.
Gigantic floor to ceiling windows filling all of the old space where the historic windows once were.
Wow, I love those big windows. I bet those were something to lift up here from the street and put in, weren't they?
Yes, we actually had to hire a giant crane truck. So there was no way to get them up the steps, of course, and no other way to get into the building. So they arrived last year right before cold weather, and we had them craned up and through the middle opening.
That's the first thing I see, but the next thing I see is this immense crown molding, and I have to believe this was original to the bank building.
This is all original to the building. The bank building was built around 1880, and we definitely believe when you walk in the downstairs of the bank at that time, you would go into the lobby and look up to this gorgeous 30 or 40 foot ceiling and see this historic crown molding.
Well, you know, if it was open all the way to the top of the building, it would have to be big to make an impression.
Exactly.
And you're so fortunate it's still here.
Exactly.
And it's all plaster.
It's all plaster.
Wow.
We had to have someone come in and painstakingly restore the areas that were damaged by water, but it was definitely something we had to save. And when I pictured the crown molding, you could tell that it had been gold historically, and so when we chose to restore it, I could not picture it in my mind any other way than gold. So we had to do it. And I actually did paint the crown molding myself after it had been restored.
We're going to take a look at the little kitchenette and the bathrooms,
Sure,
and then we're going
yes.
to talk about what this place looked like when you first saw it.
Okay.
So your guests have a refrigerator, a microwave, a coffee maker,
Yes.
and a sink. So that's really all you need for a night or two, right?
You know, it's a little suite, so it's comparable to a hotel suite where you can have your snacks, you can have some wine, relax. You can have you've got your bar sink and lots of barware and everything you need in the cupboards for an overnight.
Yeah. And of course, there wasn't a bathroom here. That had to be
No,
put
there
in.
was not. The space was there and an old toilet, but it was pretty much everything in shambles. Ceiling falling in, walls falling off, the plaster was damaged heavily. So we just really went with basically the footprint of the entire upstairs and felt like we kept every piece of historical significance and then added some of our own, like the granite in the windowsills. I felt like it was a really interesting thing that we wanted to do, and that was actually salvaged from someone's kitchen job that we just were able to put that in.
When they built the offices up here, I guess that's when they put the flooring in? So
Yes.
the flooring is rather old, but it's not original.
That's
to the
exactly
building.
right.
Yeah.
The flooring, we feel like when they converted the entire bank to second-story offices, they brought in this flooring, and it's maple flooring from about 1940, and every piece is stamped on the back, Lacrosse Lumber Company, Havana, Illinois.
Really? So it came from here?
It came
That's
from
neat.
our own
Yeah.
lumber company here in Havana.
Describe some of the work that you and your husband had to go through when you demolished this thing.
So we had a lot of demo work to do. When we first began, we decided we were going to be super ambitious and do all of the demo work ourselves in the very beginning. So we took all the plaster off of the original brick walls. We took all of the old plaster off the ceiling. So I spent many, many weekends in here for 10, 12 hours a day with a big long stick, just knocking old plaster off the ceiling and then taking down all the lath.
Boy, it's dirty stuff
It's
too,
dirty.
isn't it? Oh, man.
Yes, I would come home completely black, just covered in soot and plaster. But yes, you know, then we sanded all the floors ourselves. We designed the floor plan. I did all of the decorating myself, collected some antiques and unique pieces, and sort of mixed the mid-century modern with the historic and a little bit of industrial. So it kind of has a super unique feel to it.
It does. It does. It, you know, when you leave this, the good old stuff here, of course, it needs a lot of cleaning up.
Yes.
When you leave that, it really does give you a feeling that you're in a past century.
Yeah, I feel
building.
like that too.
And then, but the nice clean lines make it
Exactly.
look very modern too. Okay, let's go look at the other one.
Okay.
Because what you've got a really nice hall that join the two. This is an interesting look.
Yes, it does provide an interesting look. It was sort of a bit of a question mark when we were doing the demo. This section here had a lowered portion of crown molding, and it had to come off so that we could make one long hallway, and we weren't sure exactly how to deal with that, and we ended up just deciding we loved it. So we left it. We just sealed the brick, painted the original plaster on this wall, and it's a conversation piece.
It's a piece of art.
It's unique.
Yeah. And this unit it's much different.
Very different.
It's got a
yes.
separate room. Of course, you don't have the street view. You've got the back of the.
Yes.
But it's a very different look. But they're roughly the same size. You said.
Right. They're roughly the same size. This one is just maybe 50 square feet bigger is all. Just a different shape and a layout, and it allowed us to really have the full kitchen in this unit,
If
which
somebody
is kind
wanted
of
a full
nice.
kitchen, they were going to stay several days
Exactly.
or something. They can have that. They can cook their own
Has a
meals
little
here.
bit more of a maybe an apartment feel to it, but still with all of the historic aspects. Unfortunately, the back of the building had a lot more water damage, so you can see the holes in the brick there would represent the skeleton of the crown molding.
Oh yeah.
So we had to actually take all of that out and demo it because there just wasn't anything left but some wood and some chicken wire mesh that they would have formed.
That's interesting though. It tells you how they anchored that
Exactly.
stuff to the wall.
Yeah, it almost reminds me when I would see it in the building raw, it was like a ship. It felt like the skeleton of a ship with all those wood. Yeah. So.
Okay, well, let's take a look in the bathroom here.
Sure.
This looks like very much like the other one, the same
Yes.
retro tile floor, which is cool. And
yeah, I really wanted it to just have that feel of, you know, the warm, comfortable feel, but really go backwards in time and highlight the fact that this probably would have been very similar to what they would have had in the 40s when they built this second story. And of course, a little bit of glam with the chandeliers and things like that.
And then this one has a separate bedroom.
Yes.
And you didn't have to build this. This was
here. We're pretty sure a lawyer had this as his office. And we found a few old pieces of mail, and there was a mail slot in that door, and we know there were some doctors, dentists, and a lawyer up here. So
that would have been the door out to the hall that we just walked through.
Yes.
And all this paneling, this would have been a high-class office.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised at all that a lawyer had this office, because I can envision him saying, just put in mahogany paneling, and I want a mantle behind my desk, and I want skylights, and I want to be upscale and comfortable, which provided a perfect queen bedroom for the loft.
And the skylights are interesting too, because is that natural light that
That
we see
is
coming
natural light.
from the roof?
So we had a new roof was put on this building just prior to when we purchased it, around 2016 or 17, and they I'm not sure how long the skylights had been gone, but they definitely roofed over that. So it was pretty dark in here, and with the dark paneling, we decided to go ahead and have 2 new skylights cut in to give us and then restore these old panes and these windows basically on the ceiling.
You know, before we leave this place, I want to go out, and you have a map, and you have some pins that show where people have come from.
We do.
Let's go take a look at that. April, you invite people when they leave to go ahead and put a pin in the map from where their home is, right? So it looks to me like you've only been open for 3 months, and it looks to me like you got a lot of different pins there.
We have a lot of pins. I love it. It's exciting for me every time I come up after someone checks out. I always like to check the map and the guest book to see if they've pinned their home, because it's kind of fun when you're traveling to see where everyone else has been coming from. And so for me as an owner, I love seeing where all of our visitors are coming from.
You really have quite a bit from the south here. You got Mississippi and Houston, Dallas, Tennessee, way up in northern Wisconsin.
Yes, we do.
A whole bunch all over Illinois, a lot from Chicago.
A lot from Chicago, all over the state. Folks traveling just everywhere. Today I have a young lady checking in, and she's moving cross country and found us on Airbnb and said, your place looks like the gorgeous stopover for me on my cross country journey moving.
Remarkable how you can find out about things these days, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And you know, I would think, well, in Havana, you know, maybe on the weekends you'd be busy, but actually you've been busy that whole 3 months.
We have been very busy. We've been blessed. We did not know what to expect. We are not hotel people, so we're just passionate about Havana. We wanted to provide a comfortable upscale place for people to stay, whether it was coming back here because they have a connection to Havana for family reunions or weddings, what have you. Turns out people are finding us on the Airbnb platform and deciding to make a trip to Havana as a destination because they see the lofts. I have a guidebook on my Airbnb listing that talks about all of our natural resources, the wineries, the shops, the restaurants, and it's been a great getaway for people, especially just coming down from Chicago for some quiet time or up from St. Louis.
You're more than just a cheerleader and a loft owner. You're also the president of the Chamber of Commerce, right?
I am.
So
Yes, I am.
You have a vested interest in getting people to Havana.
I do. I'm passionate about it. I try and help every small business in Havana, and we work together. We have a lot of teamwork going on right now. So I'm very passionate about our success here.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the tour.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The long-range plan is to continue the streetscape program for 3 more blocks, coming back up around and then back toward Main Street here, where you can see it needs to be completed. And in addition to that, the facade program, which includes painting and awnings and new windows, is still in effect. And business owners, like State Farm did here, can apply to the city for a 50-50 match. With another Illinois story in Havana, I'm Mark McDonald. Thanks for watching.
Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, Illinois Arts Council Agency, and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you.